Marlins are back in town, and they return with some bats that came alive in Milwaukee. The Phillies arrive one day after trading a Philly legend. It's 4 games, a weekend series. It's Philly and Miami. And back in Miami are the Marlins. The Phillies here. Both teams have some momentum. The Phillies, one of the better second-half teams in baseball. Miami's won 6 of 9. Marlins part, roof shut, windows closed, AC blowing, and ready for baseball. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hunt. This matchup doesn't jump off the pages, so to speak, of the baseball landscape, but these two teams have some momentum.
You know what it does too, Rich? You have two teams that have some young players, two teams that certainly have struggled this year. The Marlins want to separate themselves a little bit from Philadelphia from that last place spot. The
reason the Marlins have some momentum, offense. The bats have been outstanding.
Boy, it's been fun to watch over the last 10 games. The Marlins bats have come alive. How about Cole Gillespie working on a 10-game hitting streak, hitting .450 during that time. What a trip to Milwaukee Derek Dietrich had. He was 6 for 12 with a home run and drove the ball with some extra base pop. Justin Bour did the same. He had a couple of home runs on the road trip, one in St. Louis and a bomb in Milwaukee. And Marcell Ozuna, it was good to see Ozuna go deep against the Milwaukee Brewers himself. So that's a good sign for Ozuna. So the offense over the last week or 10 days has really been nice.
One hitter, he's not young. Those were young hitters on that montage. One hitter who's had success against the Phils, and he had a solid trip as well. Martin Prado.
You know, you're talking about a guy who has seen the Philadelphia Phillies a whole lot in his career. Prado just short of 400 career at-bats against Philadelphia. This year, he is just adding on to some great numbers he's put up against Philadelphia. 8 games, look at that, 11 RBIs, 5 doubles, a .394 average. Overall, in 393 at-bats, .308 average, 14 home runs for Martin Prado against the Philadelphia Phillies. Of course, you saw Cole Hamels on that shot. Prado's not going to see Hamels in this series.
He drove in a run in each game in the Milwaukee series, the Marlins and the Phils. We've got pitchers coming up. How about Dee Gordon? On a run right now. Guess who's leading the National League in hitting right now? It's Dee Gordon. A shot at a stolen base title and a batting title. That hasn't happened much at all. couple of goals in sight for Gordon. With that, we go out to center field. Craig and Jeff.
Yeah, we talked in the pregame about the average. We know how well it's been, and of late he's red hot, 334. But the stolen base game, he's in some rarefied air, I think you could say, in Marlins history. With still 40 games to go, he's got 40 stolen bases.
Yeah, when you look at team record, of course, Juan Pierre holds that record with 65 stolen bases. Is there a chance he might be able to eclipse that? Hey, when he gets hot like he is right now, he's on base a lot. He's going to take chances. He's going to run a lot. So you never know. You never know what D. Gordon can do.
At this pace, he's on for about 53, 54 if you look at where he is. Obviously, he's got to avoid getting picked off as many times. You see his percentage. He'd like it to be higher. What number? Is it 80% a runner would like as a minimum?
Yeah, I think 80% above right now. I think D. Gordon's still young in his career. He's still learning the nuances of base running and getting good jumps. And you see here the last 4 seasons, Jose Reyes with 40, Juan Pierre 23, 21 Yelich, and of course D. Gordon this year 40 already, with still, like you said, 45 games to go.
JP holds 10th place as well with 45, so Gordon needs 6 to move into the top 10 all time in Marlins history, and he's going to get that pretty easily with all these games to go. As we said, still 42 games to go for Miami. All right, 1st to 4 against the Phillies. We'll get it going on a Pennsylvania homestand next. Fox Sports Florida.
Let's go places. My 5-hour energy shots. Have you tried great tasting 5-hour energy lately? And by AutoNation, save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit us online at AutoNation.com. Phillies getting ready to go. Cesar Hernandez set to lead it off. Gone are the days of Rollins and Utley. It officially ended last night with Utley being sent to join Rollins in Los Angeles. Jam Lexus brings you the starting lineup. Hernandez, Andres Blanco's at third base. Odubel Herrera out in center. Jeff Francoeur's having a really nice year. Darren Ruff hits lefties quite well. Aaron Altair is in left field. Freddie Galvis, the shortstop. Chooch, Carlos Ruiz behind the plate. And Jerome Williams hits ninth.
Well, Brad Hand, as you watched him warm up, still see he likes to work out of the stretch. It's a comfortable position for him. 1-2 in his career against Philadelphia. 9 games, 5 starts. A nice ERA at 3.44. So Brad making his 7th start this year and his 31st appearance of the season.
All right, what to make of this series? You have the Marlins and the Phils. at the bottom of the East, but they're both playing well right now. The Phils have come to life in the second half, and Pitchpenny bringing you that first pitch. The Marlins, a nice road trip, winning 6 of 9 overall. Hernandez runs up to bunt, and Angel Hernandez calls a strike.
One thing you have to be careful of with this Philly lineup, first 3 guys have some speed. They'll bunt, a lot of infield hits between them. The top 2 hitters are switch hitters as well.
On the ground, that would be D. Gordon. That leads us right to BMW and Miami's defense.
Happy to be home on this nice turf at Marlins Park. There's Dietrich, Ozuna, and Ichiro in the outfield. Martin Prado and Justin Bohr cover the corners up the middle. Terrific double play combo. Echeverria, D. Gordon, and JT Realmuto behind the plate.
Andres Blanco, who's done damage for the Phils as a pinch hitter, finds himself at third base. A variety of trades and injuries. Has a lot of new faces and names in familiar places in that Philly lineup. Pete Mackanin,
as well as manager.
That's right. Interim manager, and has done so well that there's talk of him possibly getting the permanent job come 2016.
Since the All-Star break, Rich, the Phillies have gone 18-11.
Ball and a strike to Blanco. And he shoots a ground ball into right field for a hit. Ichiro picks it up. And the Phillies have a base runner. Yeah, there's a lot of talent that has left over the last 2 or 3 years. The Phillies have not been winning over the last couple of seasons. In fact, the Phillies last year were 73-89. They were in the basement of the East. And that was after losing 89 games in 2013. Herrera runs up, shoots the bunt down the third base side. No chance to get him. He's going to beat it. Bohr picks it up. A slip at second, but back in is Blanco.
We talked about these top 3 guys and their ability with speed to get infield hits, bunt hits. Not a perfect bunt, but in the right spot. No play for Martin Prado. And just like that, Odubel Herrera gets himself a bunt single. The Phillies, since the All-Star break, we were talking about their 18-11 record. They also have the 3rd highest batting average in the major leagues since the break.
And the Marlins were shifted for Herrera, and that had
Matt Carpenter written all over it.
Yeah, and had Prado off the line in almost the exact same spot where Carpenter dropped it down. How did you know where I was going?
We've been together 11 years.
Now here's Jeff Francoeur. If there's some bright spots to be had for the Phillies, their second half play and the play of Francoeur, who was added to the mix as a veteran guy, battled his way back to the big leagues last year after spending almost a full season in the minor leagues.
An energetic player. He always brings that to the table.
And he has had some big home runs at Miami's expense. And as violent a swing from the right side of the plate as you'll find in the big leagues. Counts 0-2. 96 games, a lot of those obviously as an Atlanta Brave.
A couple of big home runs in Philadelphia right after the break,
including a walk-off home run to win a ball game. Blanco and Herrera out on the bags. Hand comes up and in, and it's 1-2 for Brad Hand. His last start, he didn't quite get over the hump. It was late. It was a 1-run game. He'd given up just the 3 earned runs. And Mark Reynolds hit a 3-run homer against him in St. Louis. Bouncer in the dirt. Real Muto got a piece. Everyone's moving up. That's as tough a ball as you can get to block. The one that bounces way out in front and comes up high.
All you can do is what Real Muto did. Try to get a piece of it, and hopefully it goes out in front of you. But once this ball bounced so far in front of the plate and kicked in that direction toward third, both runners advanced.
Now a chance for Francoeur. Second and third, one out.
It's a tough matchup for Brad Hand because only one left-hander in the lineup. And righties this year against Brad hitting .307. Lefties at .224. So he's got his work cut out for him tonight.
Walked him, and Francoeur not an easy guy to walk. He trots down to first. Bags are loaded now. And here comes Darren Ruff. And a concerned look from not only Dan Jennings, but also Chuck Hernandez. And against lefties this year, there are some guys in this Phillies lineup that have really feasted on lefties. And Ruff is one of those. A .403 average against lefties, slugging close to .600. So a dangerous spot here. Bags loaded, one out. And Hand right now having trouble finding the strike zone. It's a Marlins bullpen that has really been taxed. Short starts, multiple relievers needed seemingly every night. Strike, and it's 1-1. The last two starts for the Marlins. Tom Kohler 4 1/3, Adam Conley 3 2/3. So there are some arms down there that the Marlins need to stay away from because of heavy workloads over the last 3-4 days. Two and one.
It's interesting. You know that each starter that goes out there knows that about the bullpen, but you don't want them to put that any more pressure and add that when they head to the mound.
Fouled at the plate, and it's 2-2. The Marlins, so much so, in need of fresh arms and someone that can just suck up an inning or two here or there. Did make a move today. Tomas Talis, the third catcher, was sent back down to New Orleans, and Scott McGuff, right-handed pitcher, called up. ERA 1.97 in 23 games in the minor leagues this year. 2-2 pitch from Hand. To right, Ichiro deep. That'll score a run. Everybody's tagging. And Ichiro's throw, a strong one into second. The Phillies are on the board first. It's 1-0.
Well, you look back and you always try to construct things in an inning. The wild pitch certainly set up that opportunity, even though Francoeur walked. So the Phillies capitalized with that long sac fly from Darren Ruff.
Aaron Altair now for the Phillies. Guy was having a really nice year in the International League.
Got his first major league hit, his first major league home run in their ball game last night against the Toronto Blue Jays.
Played both AA and AAA this year. He fouls that one back. Altair homered yesterday. Francoeur homered yesterday. Blanco homered yesterday. The Phillies at home yesterday beat the Blue Jays 7-4. They beat Mark Burley
So even a 7-4 game with Burley on the mound was less than 2.5 hours.
2:24.
Altair, by the way, Rich, something in common with former Marlin Jeff Baker. They're both born in Germany. Altair's mother in the military.
Well, Brad Hand right now has thrown 22 pitches, and a 50-50 split won't get it done. The Phillies lineup may not have the big sexy names, but they've been swinging the bats pretty well, especially against lefties. Altair almost gets our buddy John Tuitu there in the orange. What do you got going tonight, John? What's the jersey tonight? There it is. Oh, the Rattlers showing some love. College night is tomorrow. John getting an early start. Andre Dawson will like that shirt. "3-2." And that one is looped back into the seats.
You and I, Rich, have talked about a number of the players getting an opportunity with the Marlins. Same can be said with the Phillies this last month and a half. But it goes over into pitching as well. And certainly when you look at the Marlins rotation for this series, there's 4 guys getting an opportunity to show what they have and what they can bring next year.
Up the middle, Echeverria, nice stop, pivots, and gets him. Wow. Adeiny Echeverria saves a run, throws out Aaron Altair, and the Phillies will have to settle for just one. Etch with the stretch, and the throw.
Those strikes, let the defense take over. They're pretty good.
First in Miami tonight. J.M. Lexus brings you the Marlins lineup. D. Gordon's at second. Ichiro is in right field. Artem Prado at third base. Justin Boers at first. Derek Dietrich, a hot bat in left field. Marcell Ozuna homered yesterday in center. JT Real Muto will do the catching, and Adeiny Echeverria 8th. Brad Hand hits 9th.
A 33-year-old veteran, Jerome Williams. The Marlins have seen him a couple of times this year. We'll fill you in on what he has. A lot of cutters is one thing that Jerome Williams will use.
That and a rather flashy glove. There's a cutter, and it dives in on D. Gordon, who starts the night at .334 with 149 hits. Both totals lead the National League. Gordon shoots that one up the middle into center field. That's a base hit. He finally caught and passed Paul Goldschmidt yesterday, and tonight he opens with a single to center. He had a couple of hits yesterday, including a triple.
Yeah, he's just hot as you can be. Finds a little hole just out of the reach of the shortstop, Freddie Galvis. So there's an opportunity. Billy Hamilton of the Reds just went on the disabled list, so an opportunity for D. Gordon to catch him in steals as well.
Now Ichiro, who swung the bat quite well on the trip, was 7 for 20 and is enjoying August. He's at .346 this month. And Ichiro, little by little, is getting closer and closer to 3,000. He's 81 hits away. 2,919. Knocks that into right field. He's one closer. So he's 80 hits away from 3,000, Tommy, and this is as well as we've seen him swing the bat all year long.
Without question, and I think also what we've seen, Rich, is we've seen him turn on a lot of balls, a lot of pitches. He'll anticipate, all right, you're going to go cutter, you're going to stay inside, I'll turn on it, and Ichiro has done that. He's got plenty of playing time. Ichiro has been in 31 of the 32 games since the All-Star break.
Here now is Prado. Prado has started to drive in runs. He had 4 in the series in Milwaukee, at least 1 RBI each game. Miami trying to answer against the veteran Jerome Williams, native of Honolulu.
You notice the pink glove for Jerome Williams. His mom passed away of breast cancer, so he wears that glove, uses that glove just for breast cancer awareness.
Great speed out there, Gordon and Ichiro. And Prado fouls it back. Ball and a strike, just underway. Phillies got a run on the top of the first. Brad Hand had trouble throwing strikes. Williams not having trouble throwing strikes, but the Marlins have knocked 2 singles into the outfield. Prado sitting on a 1-1 pitch.
I think one of the greatest things, especially in this series in Milwaukee, the Marlins had an aggressive approach, and when they got good pitches to hit, they had good swings, hit the ball hard.
Two and one. Justin Bour's on deck. Marlins still without Christian Yelich, obviously without Giancarlo Stanton. So Prado in that 3 spot again. He lifts it into the seats.
Yeah, we've talked about the way Prado has hit the Phillies. Christian Yelich, you and I had a nice conversation with him today. Very frustrated about his knee.
There is progress. He can swing the bat. He's on the disabled list. He's eligible to come off on Tuesday. He can swing the bat. He just can't really run right now and really turn it loose, and there is still pain in that knee. Hopeful, though, that in the next few days, over the weekend, there is some progress. Be nice to have him for the Pirates, who are here next. Prado fighting off fastball after fastball.
Yeah, he's making Jerome Williams work, and probably the Phillies' best pitcher in the month of August. Williams in the month of August is 1-0, but has an earned run average of 150. So he's throwing the ball well. Bob McClure, their pitching coach.
Williams trying to figure out how to throw something that Prado couldn't foul off. He threw a cutter, but it was in the dirt. Phillies defensively is brought to you by BMW.
Yeah, the Phillies have struggled defensively. They're near the bottom, second to last. They've committed 83 errors. There's Aaron Altair, Odubel Herrera, Jeff Francoeur in that outfield. Blanco, Galvis, Hernandez, and Ruff around the infield. The veteran, Carlos Ruiz, behind the plate.
So both starters not sharp from the get-go. Phillies got a run in the first. The Marlins are poised now with the bags loaded and nobody out. And Bohr, who hit a mammoth blast in Milwaukee yesterday.
A couple of their real hot hitters and two left-handers back-to-back in Bohr and then Derek Dietrich.
Philly infield. Back for two. And off speed. First two pitches. Williams in front of Bohr, 0-2.
Notice the first two pitches, slow curveballs from Williams. He may show him something hard out of the strike zone. Then he'll go back to that curve. He may just come back with it here.
Bohr trying to stay alive, gets a piece. He got more than just a piece here.
And that was a breaking ball in the ball game yesterday in Milwaukee. That rattled around, hit a lot of things in center field.
A dozen homers, 11 doubles.
Changeup.
Bohr also homered in St. Louis. In the dirt, here comes Gordon. Everybody moves up, and this game's tied at 1.
Well, both pitchers early on really struggling with command. Each pitcher has thrown a wild pitch. This one costly to Williams. Everybody moves up. The Marlins tie it just like that.
Carlos Ruiz trying to straighten Jerome Williams out. Now the shot at a double play is gone. And Bohr, if he can just put this in play up the middle, will get himself on RBI. You've got Ichiro at third, Prado, the runner, at second, and the infield is back. And Bohr down the line, but it hooks into the seats.
He's yet to see a cutter or a fastball. Seen change-ups. The pitch that Williams threw the wild pitch on looked like he choked off a breaking ball or a changeup.
Sharp ground ball, rough to the bag. Run scores, and moving to third is Prado. So Bohr accomplishes a pair of things. Gives Miami the lead 2-1.
Terrific battle by the big guy. Justin Bohr, as you said, accomplished two things. With two strikes, he was able to make contact, made contact, and pulled the ball to get the runner in and move the runner over. Well done. Infield stays back with the runner at third. Derek Dietrich up there.
First pitch swing, lifted in the air to left. Altair makes the catch, tagging third, and coming home is Prado. And how about that? Two left-handed bats deliver 2 runs without a hit for the bouncer. Dietrich, a sac fly.
Well, you love to see it. Good job on both parts by Bohr and Dietrich. And if you're Martin Prado, you watch the outfielder. Altair didn't have that, okay, go back a couple of steps, move in with a little momentum. He was kind of staggering around. So when you see an outfielder doing that, you know you can score from third base. Prado watching that and scores easily.
You know, funny. Ozuna was there. Did you see that replay? Ozuna was there and had his hand up. Ozuna knocks it into left field. And Prado still slid, even though Ozuna had the hand up and had the stop sign. And Miami has another hit.
And good to see Ozuna with the home run yesterday. Good swing right there. You want to see him get hot, too. He's always hit this ball club well, too, Philadelphia.
Real Muto now. There's probably 8 to 10 relievers total in the ballpark watching from the bullpens, thinking to themselves, I'm going to pitch tonight.
That's the nature of the game at this stage of the year.
That is narrowly foul. Struck well by Real Muto and just wide of the bag. By the way, Angel Hernandez is the home plate umpire. Will Little at first. Pat Hoberg out at second. Ted Barrett at third. One and two.
This is something we saw the Marlins do a lot of on this road trip, just answering back. Not only have they answered back, they've taken the lead. And have continued to have good at bats.
Ozuna, not a big lead. He's running on the 2-2. Taken for a ball. Throw not in time. And Ozuna got the hand down, which keeps him on the bag. It's a nice job by Ozuna. Didn't have a big lead, but he had a little bit of roll to him.
Sometimes a base stealer will do that. If he just has an average lead, you take a chance because you get a good jump, because you're assuming the pitcher sees that you don't have a big lead. He thinks you're not going. So the foot got the bag, but then he was able to keep the hand right there too.
Well,
or does he?
Watch the hand trail on the bag. He just was able to hold it on. Real Muto takes in, and it's been a long inning for Williams now. 8th man to come to the plate, Adeiny Echeverria. See the 27 pitches.
See, every pitching coach this time of year, this point of the ball game when his starter's struggling, every pitching coach probably has the same spiel. All right, our bullpen's a little thin. I've got some guys I don't want to go to. We need you to get out of this, and we need you to give this ball club 5 or 6 innings. As we said, this is something the Phillies haven't seen from Williams since August because he's had such a good month.
He has it, and he had a hamstring injury, which put him on the disabled list. Made a couple of starts down in the minor leagues. And then when he rejoined the ball club, as you pointed out, he's had the very nice August. Now Echeverria. 12-game hit streak. And an off day yesterday.
I think a well-needed off day for Echeverria. He plays hard. He plays a demanding position, not only physically but mentally as well.
He went out of the zone on that pitch that was up and in, and it's 1-2. In a 12-game streak, a .362 average. 3 runs in, a chance for some more. We've got Hand on deck. Etch into center. That's a base hit. Ozuna left turn, he will score. Echeverria behind the throw, scampers into second. Real Muto to third. And the Marlins have a big first inning.
Etch continues to add on to a career high hitting streak, 13 in a row. There's the cutter. He doesn't try to pull it, he stays up the middle with it. Adds on to his RBI total, which is also a career high for him. 48 RBIs now.
Philly bullpen has been milling around, and finally it looks like there's some action. Well, not quite yet. Hand fouls it, and the count's 0-2.
Since this ballpark opened 2012, the Marlins are 17-13 against Philadelphia. It's their best record against any division ball club, any other divisional ball club.
(4-1) Marlins. Hand has 1 hit this year. He's been much better when he's been bunting. And he has to feel pretty good after the first inning he had. He threw 25 pitches, 11 of them balls. Phillies got on the board, and they left 2. So now here he is hitting in the bottom of the inning.
It's always a good sign for a pitcher.
Breaking ball low. Well, for Williams, I mean, there's 2 thresholds. There's one you can't get out. So there's 2. Your pitch count is 36. And it's the first inning. They're stressful innings.
And you've gone 3-2 on the pitcher.
Yeah. They're stressful innings, and then there are innings that just blow up your start. And right now, he's having one of those, the latter. This will be pitch number 38. And a little tapper. Backing up is Blanco at third. Cross the diamond in time to get the out. Miami has to settle for 4. How about that? 4-1. Marlins.
West Kendall, Toyota.
In Miami, almost a night full of action in one inning. 4-1 Miami on top of the Phils. 63 total pitches, 36 minutes of that first inning. And now, as we talked about, Tommy, the challenge for Brad Hand here is turn the page, try to reestablish yourself, and get this game under control. For the Marlins yesterday, one of the disappointments, they jumped out on top of the Milwaukee Brewers. And even Tom Kohler said it in his post-game meeting with the press, how it was frustrating to him that the ball club was able to give him the lead, and he was unable to shut the door. And so Hand goes to work on the bottom third of the Phillies order. Freddie Galvis, Carlos Ruiz, and Jerome Williams.
Here's the theory. A lot of times the pitcher, and I think it affected Adam Conley a little bit the other day in Milwaukee. He sat around after a big inning. But with Brad Hand, remember, he made the last out. So he was up, he was moving, he had the blood flowing. So hopefully he can get back in a groove and get through this second inning and go after the bottom third of the Philly order.
You know, for Conley, the interesting pattern has been really good for 2 or 3 innings. And then all of a sudden it kind of unravels and he's unable to stop that momentum. Tapper. And it's going to go foul. Boy, just foul. Prado was at a point there too. It wasn't going foul and he was running out of space.
As he was running out of space, he was running out of time as well. Boy, that's close. You know, I was talking a little bit to Carl Pavano about the Adam Conley situation.
Wow. That looked what it was foul.
Yeah. He had such a good fastball, Conley, the first 3 innings. Remember, he had 6 strikeouts. That he never really needed or had the opportunity to establish his other stuff. And then when he needed to, he wasn't able to.
So what's the lesson? Even if your fastball is good enough that you can get outs with it?
I think you have to establish, you still have to have it there. Maybe use it a little more in between innings when you're warming up.
That is strike 3 called. Galvis rung up.
Good job, good way to start for Brad Hand here in the second.
You see how much that ran. Let's see on tracks if it caught the edge. If it didn't catch the edge, it was mighty close. Carlos Ruiz. Carlos Ruiz arrived at the ballpark with Ryan Howard today. Sort of symbolic of the last 2 standing from that World Championship ball club. With Utley traded last night in Los Angeles. The Dodgers, by the way, are off tonight. They're in Houston tomorrow night.
I just think it's ironic the Dodgers double play combination would be Rollins and Utley.
And it could be for at least a couple of weeks. Howie Kendrick has a hamstring injury, and he's not close to coming back.
Tell you who filled in nicely, though, was Kike Hernandez.
With Utley, it sounds as if Kike Hernandez is going to go out and maybe play some center field for the Dodgers. Prado across the diamond in time.
Well, and the reason being their young all-star center fielder, Jock Peterson, has really struggled the second half of the season.
At what point does the weight of all those contracts topple the Dodgers? That's $271 million. They are paying upwards of $30 to $32 million for guys that aren't even on their 25-man roster right now. Guys with other teams, a couple Cuban players in the minor leagues.
I don't know if that empire can be toppled out there.
Oh, wait a minute now. Every empire can be toppled. If both the Yankees and the Red Sox, over the last 10 years, that have rich television contracts, great revenues, all of that, decided, hey, it's time to rein it in.
Yeah, sooner or later, and the Dodgers come into play tonight. You mentioned they're off. Just 2 games up on the San Francisco Giants. The Giants are in Pittsburgh tonight.
One-two pitch. Hand misses away. In the 70s and early 80s, Gene Autry and the Angels always seemed to have the biggest payroll in the American League with some of the biggest names, and they never could get to that World Series.
The Cowboy had some money.
Hand finishes off Williams, goes 1-2-3 through the Phillies in the second.
The Phillies 4-1. Giancarlo Stanton taking some batting practice today in the cage after he had 2 good days and then a day where he took off and it wasn't feeling that good. And we asked him when he thinks he's going to be able to come back.
When I get hit off the machine for probably 5 to 7 days in a row without pain. That's game simulated, and we'll be like playing every day for my wrists and hands. So when I can do that, I want to be back.
D. Gordon batting here. Stanton said it's not like a muscle injury where you can play through 70% or so. He said with your wrist, he said I need 100%. I can't follow through with my swing with 60% wrist or 70%. I need 100%. So what he's going to look for, and he started day 1, is a stretch of almost a week to get back. If he feels good, then the progression continues maybe early September on the bright side for a return.
All right, thank you, Craig. D. Gordon's up. He singled in the first. National League's leading hitter. Gordon with that base hit, upped his average to 336. Hey, Craig, quickly, of all the injury reports that you heard today, what was the most optimistic news that you heard?
Probably Carter Capps, Rich. He took a bullpen session today. That's the closest, I would think. Also, Jose Fernandez threw out in the left field. He was throwing pretty hard out there from long toss. So, but I think Capps is probably the best news. Yelich is, you guys talked to him with that bruised knee, and it's just a problem. He can't run right now.
And that's such a big part of his game, especially playing left field in this park. Gordon walks. And you know what, Tommy? In an odd way, at-bats like that are going to help D. Gordon if he wins this batting title.
You know, it's probably a little early to do this, but just checking the Arizona box score in Cincinnati, and Paul Goldschmidt's 0 for 1, so he's down to 332.
But there are nights certainly where, you know, you think to win a batting title, I got to get really aggressive and swing at a lot of stuff. And you almost have to think the opposite.
Yeah, because, you know, a 1 for 3 night with a couple of walks, different than a 1 for 5 night. But you know what? If you're D. Gordon, you're thinking that could be a 3 for 5 night.
Here's Ichiro, and he takes in. What do you make of Ichiro now? Because I'm telling you, the last 3 weeks, he seems like an absolutely different hitter than we've seen the first 3-4 months in terms of driving the ball, hitting it with authority, pulling the ball.
I think he's changed his approach a little bit because we've talked about that. And I think he may have gone through a little spell in July where he had gotten a little tired. He's playing a lot of games. There you see the month of July, not a good one, but August has been tremendous.
He hit a bolt to right for a hit back in the first. 2,920. Ichiro lines at center field, and it hangs up. Even the outs are loud right now. Herrera makes the catch. And an out here in the second. Tommy, it's college night tomorrow night. Marlins and Phillies, 7:10. You get a Marlins t-shirt in your favorite university colors, plus a game ticket. All of the college color night festivities, just $25. But you have to go to marlins.com/special events. That's where you get your ticket for $25. $1 hot dogs and fireworks as well.
Rich, what were the UC Davis colors?
The UC Davis Aggies, Tommy, navy and gold.
All right. So once again, we'll wear our Navy sport coats.
That's right.
Tomorrow night.
Well, our baseball uniforms were navy and white. So navy coat, white shirt. I think
white shirt.
We covered that tonight.
We'll be good to go.
The strike. Now Marcell Ozuna swiped a bag. And right now, D. Gordon is thinking about it. As we noted, Gordon, with his 40 stolen bases, Billy Hamilton's injury has kind of opened the door in that stolen base race, which got us to thinking, when's the last time a player has led his league in stolen bases and won the batting title? You see, he's 14 back. And actually, it happened last year in the American League. One of our favorites, Jose Altuve. Then we asked our baseball historian, John Chimchuk, when's the last time it happened in the National League? And he said 2 words that both you and I looked at each other and went, wow. And those words were Jackie Robinson.
1949.
It's the last time a National Leaguer has won a batting title and led the league in stolen bases.
That's actually the last time a second baseman won a batting title in the National League.
That to me is amazing too.
And there have only been a couple of others. Rogers Hornsby, but way before Jackie in 49. Larry Doyle in 1915, and then some guy in 1876.
Larry Doyle, not related to Harry Doyle, whom we just saw in Milwaukee.
Or Denny Doyle.
That's right. Runner goes, big jump, liner down the right field line, just foul. Well, Prado did everything right too. He had a pitch he could drive to the right side. He jumped on it, and it was just foul.
So those are a couple of amazing statistics.
Well, you'd think of some of the second basemen.
Yeah, I mean, think about Ryan Sandberg.
Jeff Kent.
Yeah. So the last National League second baseman to win a batting title was Jackie Robinson in 1949.
Joe Morgan. See if he's running again on the 2-2. Yep. Prado fouls that one. So Gordon getting a workout will trot back to first.
Well, D. Gordon getting a workout, so is Jerome Williams. 50 pitches already, 1 out here in the second.
Pirates and Giants in a big series in Pittsburgh. Pirates 1-0 over the Giants, bottom third. Not running, 2-2's in. The Nationals finish off their series in Colorado with the night game tonight. That ball game underway in about a half an hour.
Nationals pleased. They got a nice outing from Steven Strasburg last night in their 4-1 win.
And they're back over 500, those Nationals are. 60 and 59. Mets are off tonight. High chopper wide of third. Prado, and this is way above my pay grade. I'm going to demur to our baseball historian. I'm guessing Prado has seen 13 pitches tonight. How'd I do?
You are correct.
13. Wow.
How about Jerome Williams has had 5 3-ball counts.
Gordon runs. Prado blasts one to left. Deep and gone. Talk about 2 quality at bats. Prado makes it 6-1.
There is something about this Philadelphia team that just brings out the best swings of Martin Prado. It's his 5th home run of the year. It's his 14th hit this year against Philadelphia. He has 13 RBIs already against the Phillies. Boy, he worked the count. He knew he was going to get that 3-2 fastball.
Justin Bohr shoots one up the middle into center field. I got to be honest with you. I'm stunned that the Phillies don't have somebody warming up in the bullpen. And not, they may get somebody up right now, but it's a bit surprising that someone hasn't been up.
Well, yeah, and one of the reasons, even their game yesterday, their 7-4 win against Toronto, Adam Morgan, young pitcher, went 7 innings. So Pete McCannon only had to use a couple of relievers for an inning apiece.
Both managers are in very similar spots with rotations that really aren't very deep, and bullpens that have been worked.
Inexperienced bullpens as well.
Dietrich takes a breaking ball, a strike. It's 0-2.
The one guy who's done a really nice job for the Phillies, especially after Papelbon was shipped to the Nationals, is Ken Giles, their closer.
Giles has been the closer in waiting for the last 2 years. Struck him out. Dietrich takes it, and down he goes.
Rich, for Martin Prado, that is Prado's first home run since June 12th. He hit home run number 4 June 12th against the Rockies right here.
Prado with a walk and a 2-run homer tonight. Ozuna, that's launched. It's deep. Is it fair? It is gone. Wow! A Stanton-esque blast from Marcell Ozuna.
We talked about Ozuna in his career against Philadelphia, an over .350 average, and this is his 5th career home run against the Phillies, and you bet it was launched. And the other good sign, back-to-back games with home runs for Marcell Ozuna, homered yesterday in Milwaukee.
That hit the top of the foul pole. I don't think I've ever seen that. Maybe my eyes were deceiving me. I'd love to see that again. But it looked like it came down and hit the very top of the foul pole. Look at, even Stanton got a charge out of that. Watch this.
Right at the top. Incredible.
That is incredible. You know how hard it is to hit the very top? You've got to get the right descent. Miami. And the Phillies bullpen is finally active.
You and I had a really nice conversation with Phillies bench coach, longtime player, a great teammate, Larry Bowa. And one of the names talking about the Marlins roster that Bowa brought up was Marcell Ozuna. So he knows what Ozuna's done against the Phillies.
Yeah, it's always interesting to get another manager or another coach's opinion of the team that you follow. And Bowa was very honest and forthright about the Marlins roster, and he's still very, very high on that Marlin outfield. Loves D. Gordon. He had D. Gordon when he was in Los Angeles.
Echeverria talked about JT Realmuto, Marlins young catcher.
But Larry Bowa is also a realist. He also said, hey, look, it's hard to win if your big guy's out and you've got all of your pitchers, or at least the starters that you planned on having, out with injuries, from Jose to Cozart to the entertainer Henderson Alvarez. The Phillies in a similar spot. This is something that you've said before in talking about teams. You take the Marlins lineup, even without Yelich and even without Stanton, and you line it up against the Phillies lineup tonight. And You got to like your chances if you're Miami. Phillies have been playing well. And I think that's one of the frustrating things for the Marlins and their fans this year is that there are times where you feel like there's more talent out there than wins.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what you do when you look at that talent, you match up your 8 guys against the Phillies' 8 guys. You go around and you go, okay, yeah, I take this one, I'll take this one.
Echeverria off of Williams, and he'll get a base hit.
Well, if Williams lets it go, it might be an out, but he tried to backhand it, which every once in a while you'll see a pitcher do. But he deflected it, and then he lost it, and it'll be an infield base hit for Adeiny Echeverria, who is 2 for 2.
So Williams exits, and a real rough ride. Still in the second, 67 pitches, and a Kendall Toyota called to the pen. Starter 8-1 Miami in the second. Saturday, Major League Baseball returns to Fox Sports 1. Doubleheader, Giants and Pirates, Rangers and Tigers. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern right here on Fox Sports 1. It streams live on Fox Sports Go. Ichiro and Ozuna, those two really bonded in spring training when Ichiro every day taught a different word in Japanese to Ozuna. And they have been close ever since.
14-15 years in professional baseball. Cesar Jimenez spent some time with the Mariners, but just his 3rd appearance this year with Philadelphia. $16 games with the Phillies last year. Now the question there is, are they talking Spanish or English? Because Ichiro speaks a little Spanish.
Yes, he does. I don't know that Ozuna knows enough Japanese words to speak in Ichiro's native tongue. But one thing about Ozuna, he is a quick learner. We've seen that. I mean, he was willing and able to do interviews in English once he got to the big leagues. Very brave.
I thought he was a quick learner, being sent down to AAA and working on what he needed to work on, which he did. And if you're Marcell Ozuna, you want to tell yourself, I don't ever want to go back there again. I want to be the next 10, 12, 15 years right here in the major leagues.
Brad Hand. Well struck, but well played. Hernandez gets the out. Well, the Marlins get not one, but 2 home runs. Martin Prado to left. That was deep. Marcell Ozuna down the line. That was deeper. It's 8-1. Won 8 runs on 8 hits. Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Hashtag it FL Data Strong Fan. And you might see yourself in an upcoming telecast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile.
How about the way each inning has gone? Marlins have sent 9 men to the plate each inning. They've gotten 4 runs. They've had 4 hits in each of the first 2 innings. And they've left 2 men on base.
And now an even bigger cushion for Brad Hand, who wobbled in the first, gave up 1 run, tightened it up in the second, went 1-2-3. And he gets the top of the order: Hernandez, Blanco, and Herrera. Still a long way to go in this one. Hernandez fouls it at the plate. Chase Utley's trade, certainly the biggest headline around baseball this morning. The Giants picked up a bat today. Marlon Byrd, former Philly.
I think one of the things that led to that, they had to place Hunter Pence with an oblique injury on the disabled list. That's a good pickup for them.
Comebacker. And perusing the headlines. Every now and then you have to go deeper than the headlines, Tommy. You have to go all the way down where you find that the Wolfpack might be back in business. But they're going to have to travel to Buffalo, I think. Randy Wolf looks like he's headed back to the big leagues. Actually, they need to go to Detroit. Tigers have filled the void. He was pitching in Buffalo. I didn't know that. Randy Wolf was.
I didn't either.
The Tigers have acquired him for cash consideration. Was Dave Cash ever traded for cash consideration?
I don't think he was, but it was always a great double play combination: Larry Bow and Dave Cash.
There he is, Larry Boa, formerly of MLB Network, which has been taken over by the Marlins, hasn't it? Or ex-Marlins. Juan Pierre on the show today on MLB Now. And then Cliff Floyd and Chris Rose tonight.
And every once in a while you'll look up, you'll see Mike Lowell.
I mean, the guy sitting next to Chris Rose, a Marlin as well, although he made a lot of headlines as a Red Sox.
Kevin Millar. By the way, Randy Wolf in Buffalo this year, 9-2 with a 2.58 ERA in his 23 starts. So the 38-year-old left-hander back in the bigs.
That's a Blue Jays affiliate now, isn't it?
Well, it's close enough.
It was the Mets for a while. I think so. I think it is a Blue Jays affiliate. There's a lot more movement in the minor leagues in terms of swapping minor league affiliates. Marlins have been fortunate. They've had a nice run in New Orleans and in Jacksonville.
Of course, Randy Wolf's last major league team he pitched for was the Marlins in 2014, last year, and had a nice career as a Philadelphia Philly.
Yeah, he had one of those fan clubs, the guys with the werewolf masks that used to dance around for every strikeout. There's a strike to Odubel Herrera.
Yeah, we always loved the Wolf Pack at the vet.
It was a little probably better attended and a little more boisterous than Fasano's Paisanos. For Sal Fasano. Swing and a miss. Brad Hand, nicely done. Ever since the Marlins got in the lead, Brad Hand has retired 7 straight. Saturday Spectacular. This Saturday, it'll be spectacular. 7:10 start, and you can celebrate South Florida Ford Dominican Heritage Night, presented by the Dominican Republic. Has it all. Just pick up all-you-can-eat seats, $35. Go to Marlins.com for details. Well, it's the third, so why not? Third at bat for D. Gordon, top of the order. Gordon leading off for the third time in an 8-1 Miami lead. Here are 2-run homers last inning for the Fish. Martin Prado and Marcell Ozuna. Even the Fish stopped their swimming and took notice of that. That fish camera that we just saw, by the way, might be the definitive look on a replay on fair or foul, right? If you get a clear look at the foul pole from there. There it is, right there, the foul pole. Ozuna hit the very top of the foul pole with his home run. It was on its way down, just starting its descent. D. Gordon's got another hit. 2 for 2 tonight. National League batting leader. Now at 337.
43 multi-hit games for D. Gordon. Had 48 all of last year. And in case you're wondering, Juan Pierre with the Marlins club record with 70 multi-hit games in 2004. D. Gordon locked in.
This is the first look at Jimenez for the Marlin lefty bats at the top of the lineup. Gordon and Ichiro. Ichiro takes in. Ichiro, a line drive single to right. He hit it even harder, but it hung up for the center fielder, Odubel Herrera. Little tapper there. Gordon's tagged out. Nice double play. Oh, hold on. Safe. So Gordon is safe. It looked like Hernandez with the glove tagged him. The Phillies are questioning the second base umpire, Pat Hoberg.
Yeah, for a second it looked like Hoberg actually called him out.
All 4 umpires are converging on the play right now. See if he went out. He didn't really go out of the baseline. But I'm with you. I thought the initial call was out.
Let's see if we can see what Hoberg does.
No. He is out. No argument from Gordon. So naked eye was correct. That's a double play. There's Prado.
So a heads-up play and a good play by Hernandez at second base, because he knew he had speed with D. Gordon, the runner.
Prado's had some deep at bats. Worked a walk in the first. Miami would score 4 times in that first. Fouled off a lot of pitches and then blasted one to left. Part of what has been an impressive outburst tonight. The Marlins batted around in each of the first 2 innings. The last time that happened, and this according to one of our most esteemed baseball historians, Ken Lee, 2003 against, oh, wait a minute, it says 2003 against Washington. Further research needs to be done because the Nationals didn't arrive in Washington until 05. Am I missing something? 2006.
2006. So much for our baseball historian.
No, that's all right. We got it right. 4th inning now. 8-1 Miami. Dan Jennings will be part of Marlins Live tomorrow. South Florida Honda Dealers brings it to you every Friday. A chat with Miami's manager. And then 2 guys getting their first starts in the big leagues. Henry Flores for the Marlins. And Jared Eichhoff, who was acquired in the Cole Hamels trade with the Rangers, makes his major league debut. Flores has pitched in the big leagues but has not started. Francoeur takes its 1-1.
Yeah, the last start, Henry Flores, was August 3rd. He was pitching for New Orleans.
Jeff Francoeur walked in the first. Kind of surprised that some team, and there's still time before September 1 gets here, where you want guys on your roster if you're going to use them in the postseason. Still surprised that some team hasn't come calling about that guy, Jeff Francoeur.
The way you just mentioned, the Giants picking up Marlon Byrd, you know, similar. Not that Francoeur's a Hunter Pence, but they play with the same intensity and enthusiasm. Marlon Byrd probably a better overall hitter than Francoeur.
Brad Hand with a great opportunity to get win number 3. His ball club has given him 8 runs. Darren Ruff. Two and one. Kind of went through the Phillies lineup and parsed the hitters that were really hot against lefties, and Ruff one of those. A 400 average against lefties this year. Sacrifice fly in the first.
And at this point, just about every game against the lefty, Ryan Howard sits and Darren Ruff plays. So as the Marlins have guys, they want to see what they can do. And looking ahead the next year, Darren Ruff is one of those guys with the Phillies.
Full count here. Pirates a 2-0 lead over the Giants. Cardinals are idle tonight. Cubs and Braves scoreless in the second. Tapper, Prado, Gordon's turn. Not in time. An out, and here is Aaron Altier.
A lot closer than I thought it would be. This really wasn't a double play ball, but a quick turn and a strong throw from D. Gordon made it close.
Altier now bounced out back in the first. In the National League, in the Central, the Cardinals lead is 5 over the Pirates. Cubs are 4 behind Pittsburgh and 9 total behind St. Louis. But the Cubs, by a narrow margin, have that second wild card spot.
Ted Wild game in Wrigley Field last night. Detroit beating the Cubs 15-8. Had quite a local flavor. Nick Castellanos, born in Davie, he had a big game, 4 for 5, couple of home runs. J.D. Martinez out of Nova Southeastern was 2 for 5 with a home run for the Tigers.
How about Parkland's Anthony Rizzo?
Well, so also sort of a local flavor. Miggy was 3 for 5.
Did you see what Miggy did the other day?
I'm never surprised.
There was a fan sitting on the.
Anthony Rizzo took an over.
Okay.
Didn't want to bring that up. What'd Miggy do?
There was a fan who had a sign that said "Fire Brad Ausmus," and Miggy diffused the whole situation, coming out during an inning to play first. He brought a baseball with him and traded the baseball for the sign, and then threw the sign away.
He's had a couple of those this year with fans where he's interacted.
And you could hear JT Realmuto say, "Hey, just get one.
Get one. It's 8-1. Get it out." Tie ball game, a little later in the game, it might be a different story.
Altera is out. Freddie Galvis is up. And the Cubs at home against Atlanta. So in the National League, if it all ended today, the Cardinals would have the best record and have home fields. Pirates and Cubs would play in Pittsburgh in a one-gamer, wild card game. Dodgers would win the West. The Mets would win the East. Mets lead is 3.5 in the East.
Did you read where the Mets looks like they're going to skip Harvey and Syndergaard, kind of back them up a little bit over the next week, probably this weekend? I'm sure they're not complaining because they're in Denver.
Look, everybody in the East got a first-hand look at the Nationals when they shut down Steven Strasburg. And I think one of the things the Mets wanted to do, and Terry Collins has been very upfront about this the whole season, is that they didn't want to shut anyone down, but at the same time they didn't want the young arms throwing a lot more innings than they had thrown in their career. 2-0 pitch. Foul back.
If you're the Mets and you go into postseason, you want Harvey and Syndergaard in games 1 and 2, I would think.
I don't know. I
maybe DeGrom.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd go with DeGrom, then Syndergaard. A little more experience in DeGrom.
I'm with you.
Okay.
I like that.
But I didn't read where they're going to back up DeGrom. I mainly read Harvey and Syndergaard. So we'll have to watch, see what they do.
I think they're keeping an eye on DeGrom as well. There's a guy that had some arm surgery in the minor leagues. 2-1 to Freddie Galvis, who was struck out. That was back in the second. And Galvis couldn't check his swing. My count was off. That was strike 3. your local Chevy dealers. Visit your South Florida Chevy dealers today. And by Checkers Epic Meals, Epic Deals. 8-1 Miami. 2 4-run innings, first and second. And the Marlins have been comfortably on top since. Justin Bour takes fastball for a strike. Derek Dietrich. Marcell Ozuna will follow. Bour knocked in a run with a ground ball out and then singled in the second.
Cesar Jimenez in for his second full inning. Remember, he came in and got an out in the second inning. I think we've seen the progression in Justin Bour against left-handed pitching. I think he's handled left-handers much better over the last couple of months.
Bour has another month and a half of games here in the big leagues to add to what has been a solid year. He would like to make it closer to a solid year rather than a solid couple months. He's got that opportunity when misses away. Bour with an on base just over 320, a slugging in the 430s. Boy, that one was crunched but foul.
He hits some balls very hard. Yeah, I saw that shot of Giancarlo on the bench, and we talked about it the other day. The hope is that he does get back in September, and you'd really like to see him challenge for that home run title. He's just 3 behind with 27.
Bour swings and misses and strikes out. Well, if you're looking for something to watch the Marlins for, I mean, a reason to tune in late August and through September, you got D. Gordon, who right now is the leading hitter. He's looking for a batting title. That should be fun with his speed and the year that he's had. Only one Marlin has won a batting title. That was Hanley Ramirez.
D. Gordon with 151 hits now, too.
And if Stanton does come back at the end of August and maybe early September and gets hot, then certainly he could give that home run title a chase.
Well, we talked about it. Bryce Harper has 30. Arenado and Todd Frazier each with 29. Carlos Gonzalez, Cargo, has 28.
A 1 to Dietrich. Derek fouls it at the plate. Dietrich a sacrifice fly, adding his 17th run driven in. 9 doubles, 8 home runs. Dietrich's numbers, when you expand them, one of the things you really have to like is the on-base percentage. 382 coming in, and the slugging percentage, 520. And down he goes. And here is Marcell Ozuna. Rand Eye gives you the Rand Eye vision cam, and you're going to need it to watch where this home run hits. Naked eye. Oh, we got to show the slow-mo, don't we?
Boy, give Ted Barrett, the third base umpire, credit. He was the one who made that call, too.
There's Ozuna. Now, naked eye, and I know it was Rand Eye vision cam. You saw the home run kind of go up near the top of the foul pole. And to the bat. Hernandez on to first. When we get back, we'll show you where it actually landed. 8-1 Miami. the Ozuna homer sail high and deep, and it looked like it went over the foul pole. It was a blast. Just when it peaked and just when it started to come down, watch where it lands. Boop.
Right up there. Right on top of that. That was tremendous. I've never seen that.
Ruiz to right. Ichiro's out there. He makes the catch. And Brad Hand really has been nifty since that first inning, which wasn't an easy one for him. Gave up a couple of hits, a walk, and a run. But since then, just one hit. Was in the fourth.
Well, and he's doing something certainly that Dan Jennings wants, and that's take this game a little deeper. Part of that because I'm sure he got a nice lead early on, but I think he just settled down. He's made good pitches since then. Sometimes it's harder to pitch with an 8-1 lead. This year at home, Brad's had 3 starts in 15 games. This is 16th game. His ERA at Marlins Park about 2.5, so very good.
That one popped into right field. It's caught there by D. Gordon. We check in with Craig Minervini. Craig.
Rich, thank you very much. Cesar Hernandez now playing second base. Sounds funny, after 13 years, Chase Utley, the latest Philly to be traded, leaving just a core of 2, Ryan Howard and Carlos Ruiz, from the 08 champions, because the guys like Cole Hamels traded July 31st because Papelbon was not with the Phillies then. Ben Revere had some big years with Philadelphia, and now Chase Utley gone. In the Philadelphia Daily News today, the back page called him the most beloved Philly in history. 13 years there, 6-time All-Star. They love the way he played hard. And Harry Callis had a line about him once when he scored from second on the ground. He said, "Chase Utley, you are the man." And that's what it said on the back. And when Utley was reminded of that, he choked up in the press conference. Not normally an emotional guy, but he said, "Hey, going to Los Angeles. It's a team I rooted for as a kid. I went to the '88 World Series. I did talk with Ruben Amaro last few weeks, and that was one of the teams I wanted to go to."
That one hit to center and hit deep. Ozuna goes back looking up, and it bounces off the wall. Picked up by Ozuna. And Hernandez has himself a double. Yeah, Craig, it certainly is the changing of the guards in Philadelphia. Guys that the Marlins have seen forever. Rollins, Utley, even Papelbon, who was a Red Sox and just joined the band about 3 years ago. You wonder who's next. I mean, can they deal Howard? Is Carlos Ruiz going to retire with Philly?
Most beloved Philly, Tommy. That's a big title.
Oh yeah. He had to be in their franchise 4.
Yes.
Pretty sure.
You know,
while we were talking about Chase Utley, and rightfully so, a local kid got his first major league at bat. Darnell Sweeney went to American Heritage and American Senior High School. Born in Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah, played college ball at Central Florida.
So Darnell Sweeney popped up, but you know what? He got his first AB in the big leagues.
And his mom, Winnie, is at the game, and she is a police officer in Miramar. And she's at the game tonight. We'll try to talk to her during the series.
Yeah, he came over in the deal for Utley from the Dodger organization.
And certainly it's a 4-game series, and hopefully we get a chance to call his first major league hit.
He was an all-star in the Coast League this year as a second baseman. I think we've seen the changing of the guard in Atlanta as well. You know, you talk about the Phillies and the things they've done. Atlanta has made many moves. You got the feeling with some free agency and some contracts coming up, the Nationals may have some changes.
Fastball up and into Andres Blanco. Toyota Trend, since winning the East in 2011. 274, 332. What a great run it was, though. World Championship in 08, beaten by the Yankees in the World Series in 09.
Charlie Manuel's Phillies.
And not that far away the next couple of years from getting back to the World Series. And misses down low. It's 2-2. Now that is a turn back the clock kind of mustache, isn't it?
Of the Raleigh Fingers variety. There's a recent picture, I think with Arizona. They had a mustache similar to that.
I actually saw his wife at a seminar in New York yesterday. Sam LaCure.
Sam LaCure. There you go.
I believe his wife is Allie LaForce. I have to double check that, because there's two CBS women that I've worked with that are married to major league pitchers. 3-2. That one fouled.
See, I faced Raleigh Fingers in high school, and he did not have that mustache at that time.
Lined up and caught there by Marcell Ozuna. 8-1 Miami. Here at Marlins Park Sunday, two of the UFC's hottest rising stars face off. Featherweight destroyer Max Holloway takes on dangerous double threat Charles Oliveira. A welterweight showdown between Neil Magny and Eric Silva. UFC Fight Night Sunday, 6:30 Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. Streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
I think one of these nights, Rich, they should superimpose our headshots on those two different bodies for the UFC championship. Justin DeFreitas, the new pitcher for the Phillies.
And JT Realmuto at the plate. Lauren Gardner, the sideline reporter for CBS that I referenced last half inning. By the way, we had a tweet about second baseman who had won a batting title in the National League.
So I guess when you read something from Stats Inc., it's not correct?
No, you just...
Because there's always that one person out there who has like 9 hours to look up something. What do they say?
Well, they wondered if Freddie Sanchez, who won a batting title, was a second baseman at that time. Now, remember, Sanchez played both third base and second.
When he was with the Giants or Pirates?
As a Pirate.
As a Pirate.
And in 06, he played 99 games at third base.
Okay.
23 at second.
All right.
And 28 at short.
You started to get me going a little bit.
No, it's with that. You got yourself going.
Oh.
I rarely have to help in that endeavor. It's a strike on the inside corner. Realmuto doesn't like it. Angel Hernandez brings him up.
You know, Ozuna, when he made the last out of the inning in the fourth, he didn't get a chance to get this one out. Boy, that's borderline. That's not even borderline. That's not close. Giancarlo Stanton, of all of his home runs, has hit 68 here at Marlins Park. Second on the list is Marcell Ozuna, and the one he hit tonight was his 13th.
DeFreitas nabs that one. Echeverria robbed of a hit. He was 2 for 2 before that. He's going to have to settle for a 2 for 3 night so far.
So Stanton with 68 at Marlins Park. Ozuna second on the list with 13. Good job by DeFreitas. Good timing. Bad luck for Adaney, but that's just 2 for 3 so far.
Brad Hand takes outside. There's Ryan Howard not getting the start with Hand on the mound.
Probably be in the lineup tomorrow night with the right-hander Kendry Flores starting.
Two and one. This was a Jerome Williams start, and it didn't go well for him. The veteran did not get out of the second. He gave up 8 runs on 8 hits. Cesar Jimenez 2 1/3 scoreless, and now DeFreitas works a scoreless 5th. 1, 2, 3 go the Fish. 6th inning coming up. 8-1 still. Miami on top. Marlins on a Sunday fun day finished the series against the Phils at 110. The Pepsi 4 for 74 packs are in play. And let's celebrate Dontrelle Willis and Juan Pierre Day. Fans get a D-Train or JP shirt courtesy of Miccosukee Resort and Gaming. Kids can run the bases in the Diamond Dash. Marlins.com for details. Both of those guys, media darlings. Dontrelle Willis on Fox Sports 1. Juan Pierre looking good, sounding good on MLB Network.
So what you're saying is when we have them on the air, and I think we're going to have them each for an inning, they'll be ready to go. They're well-oiled and tuned up to broadcasting. Hey, by the way, we were talking about the local kids, Nick Castellanos and J.D. Martinez, and then you asked about Anthony Rizzo last night in Chicago, and he was 0 for. But tonight, Anthony Rizzo 1 for 1, a 3-run homer for the Cubs against Atlanta.
Here is Odubel Herrera. Yeah, Dontrelle Willis on Fox Sports 1. We noted that a lot of Marlins have been ex-Marlins have been appearing on MLB Network. Ryan Dempster added to that list.
We'll see Dempster, Millar, JP, Mike Lowell,
Al Leiter,
Cliff Floyd,
Pierre.
So there's 6 right there.
Our Preston Wilson has done some work with Fox Sports 1 on Saturdays.
Good to see Preston in Milwaukee.
It's a nice alumni that has spread out on the airways. Odubel Herrera, Jeff Francoeur, Darren Ruff.
I don't know if it makes a big difference, and a pitcher probably would say no. But right now, Brad Hand having trouble throwing strikes to Herrera, who's the only left-handed hitter in the lineup. So he's got righty after righty after righty. All of a sudden, a little trouble throwing strikes to the left hand.
Yeah, the guy you assume is the best matchup is not necessarily that. So Herrera walks. Remember the looks on Chuck Hernandez and Dan Jennings' face in the first inning when Hand was struggling throwing strikes, and the Phillies looked like they were going to have a big inning. They ended up scoring just the 1. Brad got out of that inning.
And you'd still like to see him get through the 6th.
Francoeur.
Francoeur's always been a guy, because he's so aggressive at the plate. Yes, he can hurt you with a home run. Jeff Francoeur has 152 career home runs, but he's also been a guy that'll hit into a double play if you can make the right pitch. Like that.
D. Gordon, Echeverria, Tommy Hutt. Look at you. Just like that.
And it all starts with the pitch. Good pitch. Roll to second. As soon as it's turned over to Echeverria, 4-6-3. A thing of beauty. And I guarantee the Marlins infield happy to be back on this infield compared to the infield dirt at Miller Park.
Bouncer wide of third. Darren Ruff. Oh, and 2. This is a weekend series, so a 4-gamer that stretches through Sunday. One and 2. Pirates lead is 4-0 over the Giants. That's top 7 in Pittsburgh. after tonight for Miami, 41 games left. We were talking about what to look forward to. D. Gordon challenging for a batting title. He's in the lead right now. Maybe a stolen base crown if he can get it rolling here. If Stanton comes back, can he jump back into that home run race? He's still quite close. Echeverria to his right, has it, flips to first and gets the out. Nice play by Danny Echeverria, and Brad Hand gets through 6. The Phillies are Geico Major League moments on this date in '99. Astros Marlins went 16 innings. D. Gordon takes a strike. Justin DeFreitas.
And there's Craig Counsell. Just saw counts in Milwaukee. Brewers will be in town soon.
Breaking ball is a strike. Gordon tonight, a couple hits. Sandwiched around a walk, so 2 for 2. Been on base all 3 times. DeFreitas bounces one up there. It's 1 and 2.
Right now, D. Gordon at 337. Paul Goldschmidt in the Diamondbacks game in Cincinnati at 330 with an 0 for 3 night so far.
Two for 2 for Gordon with the count 2 and 2. Scott McGuff warming up in the bullpen. This would be his major league debut if he gets into the ballgame.
With D. Gordon up there, as you look at McGuff, you and I have talked for a while about his approach and the way and how hard he's played this game. And it's been tough. It's always tougher to do when your team isn't playing well.
Hernandez gets Gordon. And here comes Ichiro. Ichiro singled, lined out, bounced out. Yeah, you need to update that on the Ichi meter. That a bobblehead with the adjustable hits for Ichiro. I think what happens there is as it bobbles, that thing gets shaken up. So you could probably set it the right amount, which right now is 2,920, and by tomorrow it'll be bobbled down to 2,428 again.
Ichiro with the goatee on that bobblehead.
That was his grunge period while in Seattle.
Well, you know, you're in Seattle, you have to go through that period. Maybe a Nirvana.
Soundgarden. One, two. I guess that's another thing to look forward to for the next 41 games is how close can Ichiro get? Can he keep cutting down the
He's going to get
total?
I think he's going to get closer than you and I, you know, maybe a month ago thought he would.
Well, he's 80 away now from 3,000.
I think he's going to get to at least 60 away. And maybe closer.
He's got 76.
But again, some of that playing time could be limited. Christian Yelich comes back healthy. Giancarlo. So that could cut into a little of that. And you want to see as much as you can of Marcell Ozuna these last few weeks, too.
So this is a good time for Ichiro to be hot.
Yeah, stay hot.
He's going to get some ABs here in the next 2 weeks. And he hits a hard one hopper to Hernandez.
Yeah, he's hit some balls hard. Remember the line drive out in the second inning? So 1 for 4, but he's hit 3 balls hard.
Martin Prado coming up. We were singing the praises of Anthony Rizzo. That 3-run homer that he's hit is standing up. The other run driven in by Chris Coughlin. The Cubs off to a 4-0 start in the bottom of the 4th over the Braves at Wrigley Field. Fastball is in.
So we've kind of had a South Florida former Marlin theme tonight. In the meantime, the Marlins have banged out 8 runs on 9 hits.
It's a 4-game series, 8-game homestand. Front and center is the state of Pennsylvania. The Fightins are here for 4, and then the Pirates on Monday. And Pittsburgh staying hot tonight. They're shutting out San Francisco 4-0. That's in the bottom of the 7th. Prado certainly has been locked in tonight. 2 walks, 2-run homer. Then gets an at bat for Justin Moore here in the 6th inning. In that Giants game, a guy that we touched upon a couple weeks ago as a possible Rookie of the Year. Matt Duffy's 1 for 3. He's now hitting .305.
Keeping his name in that conversation.
I think impressively too for Duffy. He's in a key spot on a good team's lineup. He's been hitting second for the Giants. Got 10 homers, driven in 59. An OPS of .805. Or Duffman.
Chris Bryant helped his cause last night. He had a big game for the Cubs.
Bohr reaches out and tags one into right. And the big fella's got a couple hits tonight. Following up his day yesterday in Milwaukee, where he homered in the first inning. The Gung Show might also be a guy that you think about for Rookie of the Year. Jung Ho Kang.
A couple of hits tonight against the Giants. And his batting average at .288. That'll be a good race this year. Rookie of the Year, National League. Dietrich, Real Muto, the only two guys in the lineup without a hit. JT has walked twice, been on base a couple of times. And Derek Dietrich has a sac fly.
Your Marlins box score. A pair of 2-run homers. Marcell Ozuna, Martin Prado. Pirates arriving with lots of momentum. Trying to chase down the Cardinals. Trying to avoid the third straight year of the wild card game.
Yeah, they want to play more than one game.
It's nice to get to the postseason. It's great that the Pirates have been able to snap that long drought. Still full, 3-2. Dietrich just won't go away.
Yeah, DeFreitas is staying in with his pitches, and Dietrich's making contact, just pulling a foul.
After the Pirates series, the Marlins schedule is almost exclusively in the East. fact, the only non-East team the Marlins will play after this homestand for the rest of the year, excuse me, in the National League, are the Milwaukee Brewers. The Marlins do have 3 against the Rays at the very end of it, that last road trip. But after this homestand, it's all National League East except the Brewers, and then at the end, those last interleague games, bringing to a close the Citrus series. Dwayne Stats and I will be dining at Checkers before that first game on the 29th. High pop down the line and out of reach.
We need to work on having maybe an announcer swap, as we've done with some of the other teams. See, they always swap.
I think we should swap cities for a day or two. You and I go over to St. Pete for a couple days. Bring BA and Dwayne over here.
Yeah, that's a better deal for them, I think.
Yeah, you're. Wow.
But I think we ought to switch off with play-by-play now. We always swap with color analysts.
I would be fine with that. Pitch is out. Nice at bat by Dietrich. Wow. I mean, that's called earning a walk, isn't it? Bags loaded, and a reminder, this copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Bob McClure on his way out to the mound. I, for one, am looking forward to my stay in St. Pete at the Vinoy, the lovely Vinoy.
One of our top 3, maybe top 2 hotel venues that we go to.
As well, that waterfront area with the row of restaurants that just over the last 10, 12 years has blossomed. Is a great place. We're going to spend 3 days there, Tommy Hutton, and then the Marlins go to the home of the Phillies
from there to Philadelphia
end the season. And here's the trick in Major League Baseball this year: every game on that last Sunday, on the 4th, will start at the same time. 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific, 1 Mountain, 2 Central. Four o'clock, I believe, in Nova Scotia.
I think Matt Stairs knows that exact time.
Matt Stairs, one of our favorite analysts to talk with before the series goes.
Matt Stairs on the left, Tom McCarthy on the right.
Ozuna takes out. Justin DeFreitas hitting some turbulence here in the 6th.
Well, a 9-pitch at bat for Derek Dietrich. Now he's got to try to throw strikes, and so far he's behind 2-0 to Ozuna. Let's see what Ozuna gets here. He may come out of his shoes on this 2-0 fastball. And he didn't get it. I mean, I'm baffled. If you're a pitcher and you're out there struggling and it's an 8-1 game and the bases are loaded, how can you throw a 2-0 breaking ball? That's baseball in year 2015.
I think those 3 gentlemen are wondering the same thing. Let's see if Ozuna does get a green light here, 3-0. Strike. To the breaking ball, 2-0. And there's the lefty.
Yeah, he's got to throw another fastball here.
There's a fastball, and it's fouled back. Adam Lowen in the Phillies bullpen. Speaking of Canadians, and he's back as a pitcher. Ozona Tapper towards third. Blanco gets the out. And Miami leaves him loaded. 7th inning coming up. Still 8-1 Fish. Young right-hander. And Scott McGough gets set to make his major league debut. You see the numbers in the minors this year. He came from the Dodgers organization. The Marlins, in the Hanley Ramirez trade, they acquired Randy Choate, Nathan Eovaldi, and McGough was a name that certainly didn't cause a lot of ripples on the radar.
Well, in this year for McGough, he's made 3 stops. Jupiter, Double-A Jacksonville, and his last 9 games for Triple-A New Orleans.
Born in Pennsylvania, went to high school in Pittsburgh, Plum High School, drafted by the Pirates in the 46th round, didn't sign. Went to Oregon, played baseball at Oregon. It was a 5th round pick by the Dodgers. His first pitch is a fastball up. So certainly some nerves.
Yeah, you heard how young pitchers, when they get that opportunity, it's hard to just kind of channel everything.
Eric Cordier was talking on the postgame about his appearance the other night in Milwaukee. He's a Green Bay guy. Has been to the big leagues for a short stint, but that was his first time pitching for his hometown, or against his hometown team.
With Bob Uecker calling the pitches.
Right. He used to fall asleep as a kid at transistor radio and listening to Uecker call the games.
You look at the history of Scott McGough coming up in the minor leagues, and 137 games, but just 1 start. So primarily a relief pitcher. Good curveball there. So far he's shown fastball and slider and curveball.
Aaron Altair, the hitter. Freddie Galvis and Carlos Ruiz scheduled here in the 7th for the Phils. Yeah, he had a really nice run this year in both Jacksonville and New Orleans. Both stops, ERAs in the 2s. Count full 3-2.
You know, you look at his delivery, it's an easy 95. There's 48.
Little looper. Tough hop for the ball boy.
We didn't talk about this too much early on, but I really like the way Dan Jennings handled the situation after the return from Milwaukee and the Marlins in a stretch of 20 consecutive games. No batting practice tonight.
That one is just by a diving Martin Prado. And Altair pulls into second base with a double.
Well, that was a 9-pitch at bat. A good battle by Altair. So Dan Jennings realizing, you know, the team's playing a lot of games. They had a lot of energy and hit the ball well in Milwaukee. He wanted to kind of sustain that energy. I said, okay, come in a little later today. Optional BP. There were a few guys that hit, not too many. And what the Marlins do? They went up and scored 8 runs in the first 2 innings.
You know, McGuff might have been here a little sooner. Galvis fouls it back because he had a really nice year in 2013, but in 2014, elbow injury and Tommy John surgery. He was a Southern League All-Star in 2013.
So did not pitch at all in 2014.
Galvis got a break. Well, McGuff's job is to keep everybody else in the bullpen sitting down for an inning or two in an 8-1 ball game. Galvis, though, lines it to left. Dietrich picks it up. It'll score the run. Altair across. And the Phillies greet McGuff with 2 hits here in the 7th.
Freddie Galvis had a pretty solid year. He rakes that ball out of the strike zone. That ball was about ankle high, and Galvis with a really nice swing. He's had a good year taking over at shortstop. Had his average around 270 most of the year.
Diving stop, D. Gordon. Terrific play. You know, he may win a batting title. He's got a shot at a stolen base crown, and he certainly is one of the front runners for a Gold Glove.
Well, he's made plays like this all year. Full extension. Keep in mind he was cheated a little bit for a double play possibility, so he had to go to his left. Lays out, knows Ruiz is the runner, and took his time. And you're right. Gold Glove winner, he could be. The competition he has is DJ LeMahieu with Colorado,
who won the Gold Glove last year
and is having a solid year this year.
Count 2-0 to Dominic Brown, who gets the at bat. Brown, one of the guys that the Phillies had hoped would blossom over the last couple of seasons. Certainly not a reason that the Phillies have struggled, but one of the dominoes that fell the wrong way.
He was tantalizing. You know, he had that one half season that he really hit well. 2013. Had 27 home runs that year, but had just 4 after the All-Star break.
Two coming. Got him. Good running fastball. Dominic Brown strikes out. Saved the ball. First strikeout in the big leagues.
Good job. Good pitch, too. That ball tail away from Brown. Got him to chase it. So a nice comeback after giving up back-to-back doubles on the first 2 major league hitters he faced.
Now the leadoff man, Cesar Hernandez. Last one into left. Dietrich plays it on a hop. The Phillies have another run, their second of the inning, their third of the night, and it's an 8-3 game.
Something Chuck Hernandez did not want to do, I'm sure, in this inning. Called down to the bullpen.
Andres Blanco. Pair of 4-run innings for the Marlins in the first and the second. An 8-1 lead most of the way. Here, 2 runs for the Phillies. Some rain in baseball tonight. Baltimore hot, entertaining the Twins tonight, and that game is just underway. Bottom of the first, scoreless. Twins at Baltimore at Camden Yards. Over a 2-hour rain delay in that one. I told you the Pirates are shutting out the Giants. Charlie Morton was dominant in that. Went 6 2/3. 4-0 Pirates, bottom 8. The Nationals and the Rockies. It's a pitcher's duel, believe it or not, in
how about that?
Colorado. Scoreless, just 3 hits through 4. Cubs lead over Atlanta now is swollen to 5-0. Yankees trail at home 3-1 to the Indians, bottom 8. Here, 8-3 Miami. Another base hit, this one in the right center gap. Ichiro cuts it off. Round first, holding there is Blanco. And now Scott McGuff trying to get through this inning and get out of there before the Marlins have to go to the pen.
Well, I'm sure this is not how Scott McGuff drew it up in his head, his major league debut. But the Phillies going up there aggressively, having some pretty good cuts.
Doubles by Altair and Galvis. Singles by Hernandez and Blanco. And a visit from the pitching coach, Chuck Hernandez.
Looking at that Washington-Colorado game, Max Scherzer pitching for the Nats. 2 hits, no runs over his first 4 innings.
You've got Odubel Herrera. Game tomorrow night has a pair of starters making their first major league starts. Major league debut for Jared Eichhoff for the Phils. Kendry Flores for Miami. His first big league start. He has appeared in the major leagues for the Marlins out of the pen this year.
And he's thrown well out of the bullpen.
He's a really interesting guy for not a big guy, but he has a big guy delivery. You know what I mean? He's got that over the top.
Gives you a little deception. That's one of those things you talk to pitching coaches and pitchers. You really can't teach that. It's all in a pitcher's delivery, and you know, some have those deceptive deliveries and others don't. Most don't.
If that was the case, guys like Chuck Hernandez would open up deception camps over the offseason. You know, there's speed camps, throwing camps, pitching camps,
hitting camps.
In 6 weeks, we'll study the art of deception, and you'll have a deceptive windup when you leave. I know at the Tommy Hutton Baseball Academy, you considered that, but then realized you can't teach them.
No, the kids are too young. You don't want to overwork them.
All right, now we're kids. We're going to do the rocking chair. This is Johnny Cueto's go-to delivery.
Here's the quick pitch.
Here's the quick pitch. Yes. Thank you. All right, we're going to wrap the ball and then crossfire like Chris Sale. Mr. Hutton, my arm hurts.
We've got the Colementer delivery.
That's Josh Colementer delivery. All right, everybody, do the sea shack. That one is going to nestle in down the left field line, and this inning is turning nastier by the moment. Racing for third and holding there is Blanco. Odubel Herrera with the double. 5 hits here in the inning. And the Phillies have come back to make it 8-4. And for Scott McGough, this may be the end of the line. It is. Dan Jennings is out. He's going to make a double switch as he comes out. And he's going to go to the bullpen. Scott McGough, major league debut, but a bumpy ride. Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. Gov, his Major League debut. On Tuesday, the Pirates are here. 7:10 starts. You got the Miami Herald Half Price Tuesday. Half Price Lexus Legends level platinum tickets. Great discounts on tickets to several other categories. Go to Marlins.com today.
So Rich, with the double switch, Brian Morris comes in, and also coming in the game, Cole Gillespie. So the Marlins have a new pitcher and a new left fielder.
And Morris's job, get Jeff Francoeur in this inning and keep it at 8-4.
Francoeur can't believe that call.
Francoeur to center. Ozuna makes the catch. Nice job by Brian Morris. That finishes the seventh, halfway through seventh inning stretch. Stretch in Miami. We promised you the Data Strong fan. They would qualify. Let's see if they sent a photo in. No, it's Glenn and some guy that looks like you. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Now that picture to me is a good likeness of you. The other one is you as a UFC fighter.
Yeah, we've been working on that.
Like that guy. I mean, that guy is a UFC fight guy. But when I saw you in your UFC get up before the game.
We were trying to get in shape, work out a little bit.
Adam Loewen. What an interesting story this guy is. Loewen back on the mound. He was a pitcher. Highly drafted pitcher, then went the outfield. Dominic Brown stays in the ball game, and now here he is. He's worked his way back to the major leagues as a pitcher.
He had a year in 2010 as a hitter. In Double-A, he had 31 doubles, 13 home runs, 70 RBIs, hit .246. He had 17 home runs in the PCL for Las Vegas one year. That was his big year. Hit .306, 17 home runs, 85 RBIs.
Realmuto pulls one to third, and the throw from Blanco is in time. One out here at the bottom of the seventh. Adam Lowen, long ago, the first-round pick of the Baltimore Orioles, out of Surrey, British Columbia. That's a suburb of Vancouver. Got to the big leagues with Baltimore in 2006. Never lived up to that first-round draft pick status. Took his Little League team, British Columbia Little League team, to the World Series in '96 when he was 12. When he was 12, he was 6'4" and weighed 180.
Oh my goodness.
Echeverria down the right field line, foul and out of play. Back to the screen.
Well, that Pittsburgh-San Francisco game, Rich, a final 4-0 Pirates.
Well, the Phillies certainly have a guy they can pinch hit with, right? I mean, say he throws a couple innings, they need someone tomorrow. Madison Bumgarner's doing a lot of that for the Giants lately.
Madison Bumgarner has 4 home runs this year. How about Alfredo Simon of the Tigers? A one-hitter. One-hit shutout against Texas.
He walked him, and Echeverria is aboard with 1 out. So the amazing thing about Lowen, Rick Ankiel, a South Florida guy, pitcher, he had some wildness, went down as a hitter, got called up, spent time in the big leagues. Well, Lowen got to the big leagues his first time as a pitcher. First round draft pick. Didn't work out. Went down. Got called up as a hitter. He played for the Blue Jays in 2011. So he got called up as a hitter. That didn't work out. Appeared in 14 games. Went back to being a pitcher. Now he's called up as a pitcher again.
Yeah, it's an incredible story.
He was the 4th pick in the draft.
And he's still just 31 years old.
Echeverria the runner at first. And a threat to run here. You wouldn't have imagined that at 8-1, but now that it's 8-4, all bets are off.
And we've been giving you a few final scores. Probably be able to give you a few more at this pace.
We could probably give you some CFL finals.
Well, Adam Lowen would like that.
He's a Rough Rider fan. Sharp ground ball. Blanco stabs at it, gets it, and Gillespie robbed of a hit, and it turns into a fine 5-4-3 double play. Nicely turned by the Phillies infield. 8th inning arrives. 8-4 Miami.
Now the Marlins had identical first and second innings, not identical to the hitters. Martin Prado a blast in the first inning. Marlins got 4 runs on 4 hits. In that second inning, Marcell Ozuna, back-to-back games with home runs now, his 6th of the year. Marlins scored 4 runs in that inning. Phillies started to come back. Freddie Galvis with a base hit, driving in a run. Cesar Hernandez picks up a base hit. They had good swings off Scott McGuff, and they put 3 runs on the board in that 7th inning to make it a little bit closer. And it made the Marlins go to the bullpen. Ryan Morris came on, got an out in that 7th inning, and he's back out there.
This was a Brad Hand start. Darren Ruff fouls it back. 6 innings, a run. That's all. And remember, that was in the first inning, and Hand was wobbling. But to Brad's credit, especially with the Marlins having provided him with some run support, he pitched like you hope a guy will with the lead, and that is he got aggressive, started pouring across strikes, took control of the game. 6 innings, 4 hits, a run, and is in line for the win here to even his record at 3-3. McGuff giving up the 3 runs in his 2/3 of an inning.
Brad was able to bring the ERA down, giving up just the 1 run in his 6 innings.
Bouncer wide of third. Ruff, 29-year-olds out of Omaha and Creighton University. Prado gets the out. College football is back, and on Fox Sports 1 it starts with a big one on September 3rd. Jim Harbaugh and his Khakis will make their debut. Michigan is in Salt Lake City to take on, out of the Pac-12, the Utah Utes. Only place you can see it, Fox Sports 1. It streams live on Fox Sports Go.
So he took the Khakis to Michigan.
Yeah, and I think the Fox Sports bus will be loaded with Khakis on their way to Salt Lake City, which is a great football setting right there in the mountains. Their football stadium, the former host of the opening and closing ceremonies for the Winter Olympics. Michigan and Utah starts the college football season on Fox Sports 1.
A lot of times Brian Moore shows that slider, it backs up. It's in the strike zone, it's a tough pitch to hit. That backed up a little bit, it was out of the zone.
Into the bat, and it rolls foul. Cardinals, and we heard a little bit about this when the Marlins were in St. Louis. Adam Wainwright is saying that he thinks he can be back before the end of the season. He wants to play in October.
Well, he's been pitching a little bit in his girls softball team, helping them out. Also saw where Jason Hayward had to come out of the game with a little hamstring tweak.
Wainwright ruptured his left Achilles. It's a 9 to 12 month return. And Wainwright certainly is pushing that. He had the surgery in April. Well, I don't know. Altair walks, 1-out walk. Here the 8th brings up Freddie Galvis.
Yeah, it's amazing. If things don't straighten out here, all of a sudden it's going to be a save situation. And who would have thought that after the first couple of innings?
Liner over the head of Justin Bohr. Freddie Galvis has got extra bases, and the Phillies are going to pick up another run. Galvis ends up at third with a triple. Altair scores, and it's 8-5.
Well, the 1-out walk comes in to score. That's why those walks hurt late in games when you have a lead. So Galvis, back-to-back innings, has driven in a run, had an RBI single in the 7th inning.
Chuckerman is on his way out to the mound. Tommy, you'll like this story.
All right, I hope you have a good story.
I do.
Not caring for what I'm seeing right now the other direction.
You noticed and noted as well that Dan Jennings gave the team a choice. It was a few guys that chose to take batting practice, so it was optional.
That's right.
Joe Madden is in one of those moods right now. It's August, and so he's calling it American Legion Week, which means the clubhouse opens at 3 o'clock or whatever time that he posts each day. No exceptions. And if you show up early, you can't get in. The doors are locked.
I like that.
Swing and a miss by Carlos Ruiz. And in Madden's words, just come in and play baseball like we did when it was summer and we were playing American Legion ball. You show up for your game at 4:30, play at 6, you did just fine. You don't have to be here all day long.
Here to that.
A 1 pitch to Ruiz. And it's
And
out.
Cubs are up 7-0. Chris Coughlin 2 for 3, couple of RBIs. Addison Russell 2 hits, a home run. We mentioned the home run by Anthony Rizzo. And they're getting a well-pitched game from Jake Arrieta.
Madden went so far as to borrow a couple American Legion flags for the interview room and the clubhouse. Post 806 and let's see, 806 and there was one other. Maybe it's just the same. It's the same post. He got 2 flags from 806. The Billy Caldwell American Legion, post 806.
Hey, get to this time of the year, and we mentioned the Marlins, and every team has a stretch. But if you get that stretch in August or September of 20 games in a row, you got to change it up a little bit.
Ruiz to left, Gillespie after it, and the Phillies are a run closer. From 8-1, it's 8-6. So did I cheer you up with that?
You did. I was just actually looking to see if you had any more stories. No, it's a serious subject though, and it's tough what's going on out here, by the way.
Yeah, Dan Jennings.
And you can feel for Dan Jennings. He had an 8-1 lead. He's got it set up. He's got it figured what he wants his bullpen to do, and his bullpen's not performing. And so now he's going to have to go there again and probably go to A.J. Ramos in the 9th inning.
Morris is out. Dunn is in. Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. Most effective pitcher that Miami's had out there, Brad Hand. 6 innings, 4 hits, a run. Scott McGuff got roughed up, gave up 3 runs. Brian Morris into the 7th, but here in the 8th, the Phillies have kicked it up again, pushed across 2 more runs. And as we noted at the start of the night, the goal for both managers was to get a starter through 6 so that the bullpen wouldn't have to be taxed in game 1 of this 4-game series. The Marlins actually got that. They got Brad Hand through 6. The Phillies did. Jerome Williams, an inning and 2/3. But then for the Phillies, their bullpen came in and pitched very well and has continued to. Whereas the Marlins in the 7th and here in the 8th have struggled out of the pen. For the Phillies, Jimenez, DeFreitas, and Lowen have 5 1/3 scoreless innings. Dominic Brown, a swing and a miss. Brown came in as a pinch hitter, stayed in the outfield. The Marlins have an inning and a 1/3 out of their pen. So far, 5 earned runs.
You got a couple of switch hitters when you get back to the top of the lineup. And Fernandez and Blanco.
Full count, 3-2. Count stays at 3-2. Nationals trailing in Colorado. Mets are off with a 3.5 game lead. Nationals a chance to pick up a half game, but so far runs tough to come by, and the Rockies have 2 against Max Scherzer. 2-0 bottom 6. Pittsburgh shut out the Giants. Charlie Morton and friends out of the bullpen. 4-0. Pirates are winners.
Well, and you got lefty. You can see the frustration in Dan Jennings' face. Now he has to go against a couple of switch hitters.
First to Cesar Hernandez. Andres Blanco is on deck. And so the tying run is at first base, believe it or not. JT Realmuto to talk to Mike Dunn. Cubs are really stretching it out now. 7-0 over Atlanta, top 7. So both the Cubs and the Pirates can make up a half game on the idle Cardinals. The Pirates have already won. The Cubs are on their way at 7-0 in the 7th. Hernandez takes a rip at a 1-0 pitch. Rays in Houston. In Houston, 1-0 Tampa Bay, top 8. Houston at 66 and 55.
Close one in the Bronx. Cleveland a 3-2 win against the Yankees.
It's a strike. It's 1-2.
And another home run from Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod has 26 home runs, and I don't think anybody at the beginning of the year thought he would have the kind of year he's having this year.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Well, the script for the Marlins has been pretty familiar for 3 games now. 9-6 in a long one, 3.5, almost 3 hours and 40 minutes on Tuesday night. Milwaukee, an 8-7 win to finish the series yesterday afternoon.
That was 3 hours 15 minutes, I believe. Close to it.
I think one of the issues, Tommy, the cricket is back. You hear it? Swing and a miss. And there's the second out. It's sounding more like a Phillies rally cricket tonight. They've rallied for 5 runs. It's being down 8-1.
Good slider. Good for Dunn. Not good for Hernandez. He chases it, but down and in. Missed it by a lot.
Here's Blanco. Here's Blanco, and he takes a strike. Dunn has it, gets the outs, and the inning is over. The Phillies get a little closer. It's 8-6. In October coming up in Major League Baseball, you really need MLB.TV Premium. Every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand in true HD, real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget. Pitch tracking widget, he said. MLB.TV Premium includes a free at-bat 15 subscription. Blackout and other restrictions apply, but really, come on, they're not that many. Visit MLB.TV for details. D. Gordon tonight, 2 hits, a walk, 2 for 3 night. Adam Lowen continues on, and he throws a strike to Gordon. Ichiro, Martin Prado.
Yeah, Lowen in his second inning of work got some help defensively when his infield turned a nice double play in the 7th inning. Here's how things look with the batting average brace.
Paul Goldschmidt an 0 for 5 tonight at 329. Gordon bunts, pops it up, and then has to get out of the way as it bounces foul. All right, so we asked the question, last true second baseman in the National League to win a batting title and stolen base title. Now, Gordon has a ways to go to catch Billy Hamilton. With Hamilton on the disabled list, there's certainly a chance. In the National League, Jackie Robinson, Jose Altuve did it in the American League last year. How about this? Last Gold Glover to win a batting title.
Oh, I don't think you have to go back that far. I wouldn't think.
Well, that's why we have baseball historians. It probably would have served me better to ask that question 2 innings ago, because we would have had a lot more to talk about in those 2 long innings. Gordon called out on strikes. Here's Ichiro now.
Now, are you talking anybody or a second baseman that won a Gold Glove?
No, anybody.
Anybody.
Gold Glovers that
Ichiro did.
There you go.
There's one.
Maybe he's the last guy.
Yeah, it's probably somebody before or since then.
Ichiro won 10 Gold Gloves. Saw a note on Ichiro today, of which there are many. 4-hit night in Milwaukee. He has done it 51 times in his career, where he's had 4 hits. Did you ever have a game where you had 4 hits in a major league game?
I did.
Was that against Tom Seaver?
No, it was against the Mets, though, at Shea Stadium.
That's close. Ichiro, right field. That's deep. Brown back at the wall. Off the wall, and it bounces back, and Ichiro's off to the races. On his way to third, he's got a triple.
6 triples on the year for the 41-year-old Ichiro.
That's about a 400-foot triple, too.
It's definitely out at Yankee Stadium, probably out in Seattle. And again, doing what we talked about earlier, we've seen him do more over the last couple of weeks. And that's turning on balls, getting a pitch and really pulling it with some authority.
Ichiro's at third. The infield's in, and here's Prado. Prado a 2-run homer. He's walked twice. Martin Prado is about to see his 25th pitch of the night. And he drives it to right center. That's deep. Brown is there, makes the catch. Ichiro tags on his way home, and he scores.
Nice little insurance run. You couldn't have had a better guy up there than Martin Prado. He got the job done. Marlins add 1 more.
Prado really in the last 4 or 5 games has thrived in situations like that. Sacrifice flies, driving runners home.
Somehow you would think more, but Martin Prado with 5 sacrifice flies this year. That does lead the club, though.
I want to say 3 of those have come in the last 5 days.
Danny Echeverria with 4. As a veteran run right there.
Yeah, I mean, together, the service time alone would take you well over 20 years. 4 strikes out. Miami has an insurance run. We go to the 9th. And by Kubota. For more information, find a participating dealer. Go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. 9-6. Miami on top of the Phillies. You see the runs the Phillies have scored late in the game. Marlins scored 8 times early. And so now it is a save opportunity. A.J. Ramos in for the 9th.
Well, how about as A.J. gets himself ready, the last 5 games. Last game in St. Louis, the Marlins scored 6. They won. Scored 6 the first game in Milwaukee, winning 6-2. Scored 9 the second game. Lost 8-7. 9 here tonight. So 37 runs in the last 5 games for the Marlins.
Odubel Herrera. Jeff Francoeur and Darren Ruff. Herrera and Angel Hernandez discussing the nuances of the strike zone. Angel Hernandez, a local South Floridian and a guy that has always worked very hard to raise charity dollars in the community. And I think, Tommy, now maybe we're wrong on this, in that montage at the start of MLB Network's new show, to MLB Central, I think the umpire that's going down the steps of that train station is Angel Hernandez. We only see him from behind.
We'll have to view it a little more closely.
All right, you tell me. You watch that. Just before Burns flies over the couch and drops DeRosa with an elbow. There's Angel Hernandez.
A win tonight also will have the Marlins 7-3 over their last 10 games. It'll also even their record against the Phillies this year. They'll go 5-5 against Philadelphia.
No swing. Ted Barrett, kind of a lonely night down there at third. He's had a lot of runners passing by, though. It's 9-6.
Ted Barrett, the crew chief of this umpiring crew.
Herrera hangs in there. Count stays 1-2.
Well, that's a pretty good pitch. It's a strike.
Liner to center. That's Ozuna. And Ramos has his first out. That wasn't an easy out, though. Herrera gave him a fight in that at bat.
Sounded like he had an ongoing conversation with Angel Hernandez as well.
He did. I think Angel diffused the whole situation. Comes in handy to be able to speak Spanish and English. Cody Ashe into the pitcher spot. He blasts one to right field. That's deep. It's not coming back. Way up there. 4 rows in, upper tank. Cody Ashe.
Cody Ashe with his 7th home run, his first pinch hit home run, only his 2nd pinch hit of the year. Remember, he was sent down a little while to go play left field in the minor leagues. And so wasn't with Philadelphia, but he jumps on a first pitch fastball and upper deck it goes.
As Phillies Hall of Famer Richie Ashburn used to say when talking about his bats, nothing like a good piece of ash. Love the ash bats.
He would have loved Cody Ashe.
He would have loved Cody Ashe. Brian Howard pinch hits. As Pete McCann pulls out all the stops here, Ashe delivers a pinch hit homer. Howard swings and misses. A change-up.
Ryan Howard Rich has had 83 plate appearances here at Marlins Park with nary a home run.
That's impressive research. How's our baseball research department doing on the whole batting champ who also wins a Gold Glove? Has each year?
I think that's requiring a little more time.
I know. I shouldn't just shoot my mouth off and ask for a stat. Good pitch. Ramos again with the changeup gets a swing and miss.
That's such a good pitch to a big power hitter, too. A.J. good arm action, pulls the string, and got Howard to chase.
Altair. And Ramos is out in front 0-2. AJ's given up a home run to Cody Ashe, but a crowd that's waited almost 3.5 hours. It's away, and it's 1-2. Ramos trying to finish it and get the first of this 4-game series. He got him. Ball game. It took a while, but an 8-1 ball game ends up 9-7. Marlins scored a lot of runs early. Marcell Ozuna had a 2-run homer for Ozuna tonight. 2 hits, 2 runs. Denny Echeverria, 2 hits, drove in a run. Martin Prado, outstanding. 2-run homer, couple walks, and a sacrifice fly. Checkers brings you Marlins Live. Greg Minervini, Jeff Conine. Brad Hands, remember, went 6 innings, and that's what the Marlins wanted, needed. Some bumps and bruises from the pen, but the Marlins finish it. A.J. Ramos giving up a run here in the 9th, but picks up save number 21 on the season.
I think you go back, Rich, to the job that Brad Hand did and got things going with his 6 solid innings, giving up just the 1 run. Yeah.